Hello? Oh my gosh! Hold on, guys. Give me like a minute. Oh my gosh. Okay. This? No, not this. Okay. Hello, everyone. Oh fuck. Hold on. Okay. Hello, everyone. Am I lagging? Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god, I'm lagging. Hello, everyone. Hello. What is going on? First, I'm ready to take some energy. I'm waiting for Ada to kick me. Ada Wong. Okay, guys. Drugs 40 seconds. Hello, Swazi. Hello. Welcome in. Fastest I've joined the stream. I know, right? You're here early. Hello, welcome in, General Boots Riz. Let's go. What? What are you on? Hello, Zen. Welcome. Chanel lost the good one. Hello, everyone. Hello, Panda. How is everyone? How is everyone? What's your ET? Welcome in, Mom. Welcome in, Ripple Wolf. Yes, today I am gonna play. We're gonna continue RE4. Yes. Let me just pause my music. I'm lagging. Why am I lagging? Oh my god. Okay. I'm lagging. Why am I lagging? Okay. Wait. Let's go. Hello. Okay, have a good stream. I'm gonna try to be try to be sane before I go home. Alright, Mom. Be safe. Don't drink too much. Drink lots of water. Yada. See you later, alligator. I see you still enjoying that wall. Yeah, I love this wall, you know? Banging my head. I'm a head banger. My goodness. Gucci vibing, noise. Time for mommy. I mean Ada Wong. But how are you, Miss Streamer? I am good. Today is a very it is a very meh day. Didn't really do much. I woke up super late. I woke up at like 3 p.m. Yep. So it's been Yep, it's 6 a.m. It's 6 a.m. Whipple Wolf. Well, it's time to wake up. You know, drink some water, eat some breakfast. You know. Yep. It's 12 a.m. Really? Right now for me, it's currently 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Yeah, time zone. I want to commit arson in game, not IRL. Arson? Not our daughter. I'm so sorry. Oh my god, there's a freaking delay on my stream. It's okay. I'll stick with it. Thank you for the bonk. You didn't sleep yet? You didn't sleep yet? Oh my god. Robert Wolf, you're just like me for real. Yep, I live in the Asian server. Oh, you're in Asia. Nice. I would love to visit Asia one day. Yep. One day. I'm currently an American. Okay, what was I gonna do? I opened this door, right? Oh, did I go here already? Thank you for the redeem. And I bought stuff already.
Something's bound to catch your eye.
Ooh. The fuck? I hear that little spinning doll thingy. But I don't see it. Did I miss it? Oh my god. She's blind. Keep it. Great work, keep it up. What do you mean? Great work. You guys are the reason I'm bad at games.
But the fire's sweet.
My beloved goats, welcome in, Javier. Welcome, welcome. How are you? How is your day? Yes, we're handicapping. Handicapping me. Oh my god, I don't need a handicap. I'm already like bad enough, guys. Alright. Did I go over here? I don't think I did.
Church. I made it.
Made it to the church. Alright. Break this. How do I use my... Oh. There's a guy in here. How do I crouch? Oh my god! Am I just like... Oh my god! Not gonna lie guys, I forgot how to play.
Damn it.
Okay. F. Oh, Leon kick. Welcome in, June. Welcome, welcome. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Please tell me if the game is still. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh shit. How are you, June? Hello, Fate. Hello. How are you, Fate? How is your day? Do I have any yelling? Okay. Fuck. 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 Goodness gracious. Oh fuck. Can I? Oh my god! I low-key want to restart this. I am unprepared. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. What's going on here? Why doesn't Shen have glasses? Is it to make up the game? Okay. I do have glasses. You guys stole them. Okay? Shen, I know. Sorry if I type nonsense. It's okay. It's okay. Shen, why are you so sure it's stinky? What do you mean? I'm tall and clean, okay? I'm tall and clean. She got the dog in her. Yeah, I got the dog in me. The horse over her. Hold on, guys. Yeah, I know my dog is yelling at me. Hold on, I'm kicking my dog out of my room. She doesn't want to be in here whenever I stream. BRB, guys, BRB. Okay, I'm back. 9k points? You have 9k points, June? Oh my god. Awa, awa. My dog does not sound like awa, awa, okay? I said the goddamn call. What do you mean a call? She has one missed call and her dog will ravage her. I'm answering her call, alright guys? Okay, I'm not gonna leave before I type more nonsense. Alright, Buns, have a good night. But like so stinky. What do you mean stinky? what do you mean stinky? I'm not stinky. I'm literally 5'11", guys. I'm literally 5'11", and I shower every day, and you know I clean myself. Like you know I'm a clean gal. Hello, Evan. Welcome, welcome. Goat How are you? I'm doing great. So good. I'm doing so good. Right now, I'm playing some RE4. You know, RE4 right now. And everyone's bullying me. So thank you for the hydrate. Thank you. Yummy. Oh my god. Anything here for me to grab? Stinky 411? What do you mean stinky? Wolf, you stinky. You're the stinky one, okay? 5'11" my ass? What do you mean? I am 5'11", okay? Stinky like a goat? A goat?
The church is sealed up.
Negative. I don't
Nothing
know what to say to that.
We sure do have this place locked up tight.
Her farmer has a shower hair. Hey, I'm an independent goat, okay?
That's for
You
sure.
know, I can breathe
I'll find a
myself.
way.
You know?
Thunder one, out.
I'm at a point right now and I'm buzzed. I'm gonna be safe in Shen stream. Yeah, be safe, Buns. How do I... Oh, there you go. Okay. You go over here. Pretty sure this is the right way. Cause this is the only entrance. What is this? Stinky fanboy? But only because you're stinky? You're stinky because I'm stinky? P.U.? She's sticking up the guys! Good, don't drive because I don't want to see... Oh, yeah, that's so right. Independent goat. Yeah, I'm an independent goat. Have a good stream. Bye-bye, Mom. For the third time. Be safe. Alright, grave robber. Grave robber? Those traitorous twins should not be allowed to rest in peace for joining that evil cult. Won't anyone, destroy the emblem engraved upon the tombstone? Request, destroy the tombstone emblems? How many are there? Like 2? 2 emblems, okay. What's in here? Elegant headdress. Tombstone emblem. How do they look like though? Okay. Should I go back to the graveyard then? See if I can find it. Tombstone emblem. Yeah, I'll be looking for it. I'll be RP. Alright, Yoshi. Thank you for the like. Don't ask. That's me? You're a grave robber? Grave robber? Robber? I hardly even know her. Ha ha ha. See, is it this? Oh, is that right? I don't know if I'm shooting the right one. What if I just shoot to all of them? And then whichever one is the right one, you know? Oh, these! 2 twins! Okay.
Okay.
Is that it? Okay, Leon. Mr. Leon Kennedy. You just said you're gonna kill me? What? Kill me? Kill her? I hardly even know her. Ha 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 ha. That's hilarious. Wait, but Wolf has been following Shinobi for 1 year, 10 months? Can I break this? No? Oh my god, it's almost been 2 years. It's almost been 2 years since I started streaming. Oh my god! It's kind of scary. God, time is going by so fast. So fast. Oh wait, there's a door here. Can I go here? I could. Oh my god. Last week I couldn't be on stream. I was very tired and was dying. I was missing hearing you laugh about everything. Oh, That's okay, that's okay. Yeah, last stream last Resident Evil
Let's hope
stream,
for no more surprises.
I finished RE3 and I started RE4. Okay. And then now I'm on chapter. Oh no, wait, this one. Chapter 3. I'm on chapter 3. Yup. Pretty fun. Actually, I've been liking RE4. Oh my god, is that. What's her name? Ashley? Oh, photo of Ashley. Keep her locked in the church until the appointed time. Oh. She's in the church. Can I use this? Oh my god, Havoc! Welcome in, Havoc! Havoc has been following me channel way for 1 year, 9 months, 10 days. 1 year, 9 months. Oh my god. That's so long! Oh my god! So thank you for the hydrate, Havoc. Thank you. Havoc the goat. Oh my god, thank you. I'm under your bed, Shen. You're under my bed. What, a wolf? Hey yo, you watching me? That's kind of nice. Mommy's also under there? Really? Ooh. Did she not close the doors and windows properly? Make sure you close the doors, close your windows, close your closet. It's okay, guys. I always leave my closet open. Haha, haha. You know? Because. Haha. Ha. Never mind. Leon, kick me, please. I'm begging. Could I blame you? Thanks. You get me, right? You're just like me for reals, for reals. Lago. Lake. Okay. This is the lake. Am I supposed to go under the church? Why am I... Oh, fuck. I missed! I missed! Oh my god. Get hit, bro! Oh my god. I am missing all my shots.
Next.
Next. Come here. Come here. Yeah. Get burned. Get burnt. Oh shoot. Kick him. Oh my god. I love it. I love it when Leon kicks. Damn! Look at that. Oh my god. He's so hot. Hold on, guys, give me a second. Stab him. Right, guys? Can I go in here? Girls, now I feel ordered. It's been so long. It's so long, Havoc. Oh shit! Fuck, Leon. Oh my god. Oh my god. You missed it, David. I know I missed. Okay, you know, this is why I'm bad at FPS games.
Damn it.
There you go. Did I miss anything right here? Alright. Y'all heard a double strike? Double miss? It's so dumb. What the heck? Oh goodness. Buenos dias, Javier. We need angry German zombies. Oh my god, climb up, please, Leon. Oh, it's night over there? Oh my god. It's night over here too. It's like 9 p.m. Wait. Oh my god, I hate this grandma. Oh yeah, you better fall. Oh my god.
Shit.
Oh god, I'm out of bullets. Oh god. God damn. Fall back. Dude, you're annoying.
Can you break already?
Is he dead? Oh my god, I hate it when they throw like dynamite at me. It's so annoying. Give me ammo, please. god. Yeah, man, get burned. Are you gonna die? Pistols. Anything here? Nothing? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. I'm living in the future. Yeah. If you ride a plane and you travel, are you, fuck! Are you like going back in time or something? Or like you know, you travel to a place that has like, you know, forward time. Aren't you like traveling back in time? Is that kind of similar? How it works? No? Or my... Oh, misclick. That title is so relatable, man. I know, right? You get it, right? So welcome, man. First name John Cantators. Okay. Do this. I like your name, Cantators. Yeah, but guys, always remember his first name is John. Thinks I made it myself. It looks it is amazing. That's a great name. Okay, how do I? I'm guessing you have to go over here then. Okay, Leon. Better not close on me. Okay, I have a kitchen knife.
Good luck finding someone big enough to use this thing.
Damn! Is this the boss battle? Why is that huge? Oh, don't you know how sweet it tastes? Oh, don't you know how... Okay. Destroy the blue medallions. Is there anyone who can destroy those blue medallions? The area is polluted by their presence and I can't bear it! Destroy all the blue medallions. Quarry, fish farm, spinal fort. So blue... five of them. 5 blue medallions. Johnny? I don't want Cantators. I want John Wick. Sorry, I'm not that John for you. Oh fuck. What is that? Shotgun, shotgun. No, what's that with the dog? Zombie dogs. Okay. Oh my god. Uh-oh. I hear something. Something in there? Oh my god. Shen eyes is 1,000-yard stare and I hate it. What's wrong with the 1,000-yard stare? It's the trauma, guys. It's the trauma. Okay, there's a bunch of staples here. Can I go? Why did I hear growl? Growls. Like growling. Blue medallions. Blue medallions. Is this where I came from? Okay. Okay. What about John Halo? Who is John Halo? Alright. Shen, I'm a Whipple Wolf. You're gonna what? Can I do this? No, I can't use this. I think I need Ashley for that, right? So we're gonna like save her, like walk, bring her back. Blue fire. Blue fire. Oh, the purple fly. Oh my god. Purple, not blue. Oh my god. Okay. Alright. John Lee. John Lee. Who is John Lee? Oh, climb up. Have something to eat. See ya. Bye bye, Wolf. Have a good breakfast. President Kennedy, get down. President, what? Are you talking about like the shooting of President Kennedy? Guys, I'm sorry. I'm like super uneducated. I like Ashley more here than the original. Wait, Ashley was in. Oh, the first RE4. Wait, why is that though? Why is that? Is it because she looks better?
I see you took care of a request.
Oh, see you, bro.
Well done.
You're welcome. Because she seems more mature. Mmm. So welcome, Cheese. Welcome, welcome. How are you, Cheese? Why did she look like she was stoned out from my from the? What do you mean? What do you mean? Dudes was cruising and poop. He, in fact, cannot get down. Mmm. Oh, I see, I see. $1,000 stare. Hey, I don't have the $1,000 stare. Okay, I just look like a like a goat. Merchant tip: get cash back. Instead of letting your unused gun collect dust, why not sell them and spend the extra cash to upgrade a weapon you do use? Okay. When you sell a weapon you tune up, you get almost all the expenses you put into it back. There's no cash, mate. We're just rooting for y'all. Okay.
There are enough weapons here to get a party going.
Oh, is that a rocket launcher? Okay. Hold on, let me loot around first. Anything here? I can still. There's an elevator there. A fancy elevator. Oh, chest. Hexagon piece. Anything up here? Okay, just a door.
So that's
Right.
a request done and dusted.
Let me
I
look.
knew I could count on you.
Spinal 2. Because she is. In every sense, the character is independent and strong. Also, yes, she looks more mature, and Ella Freya is very pretty. Who is Ella Freya? Should I tune up then? I just got back from my secondary, very minor job. Oh, nice, nice. Make sure you rest well, Cheese.
Lack of skill.
Alright. Ammo? It's still ammo.
Dazzled, are you? Our craftsmanship
Okay.
demands no less.
I always use pistols. I don't know why. Even though I have like a machine gun, I I always use a pistol.
Molding a weapon to suit your
Can I
specific
buy-
needs.
Oh, it's 5,000?
What you
Flash
see is
grenade?
what I've got.
Can I sell stuff? Sell this.
I'll
I don't
buy
think I need this. I can sell this. Sell this. A flagon? Okay. Viper. Do I need a Viper though? Viper left to sell for the hunter. Okay. Do I need emerald? I think this is good.
Done, stranger.
Power.
There you
Okay.
are.
We did the
As
shotgun. Bolt thrower. I don't think I used this though. Nine. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Let me sell one more thing. This ruby. 2 rubies. Oh fuck. Sell.
A deal well
Okay.
struck.
Power.
We're starting
Okay.
to get an idea of your taste.
Reload speed. Let's just do reload
Try
speed.
that on for size. Wield it.
There you go.
What can I do you for?
Damn, maybe I should have bought a first aid spray.
Why not try your hand at a new gun? as you travel?
Kinda regret it now. Yep. And the original Ashley is very annoying. Very annoying? Why annoying? Ella Freya is Ashley's face model. Oh, I see.
Why
That's Zoya. What? The Glock? Yes. Thank you for the head pass, Chewy. Thank you, thank you. Can I just steal it? Okay, what do I need? Resources? Can I put this away? Craft? Wait, I can't store it. Oh wait, I can just make handgun ammo. Rifle ammo, submachine gun ammo. I don't even have a submachine gun. Let's use this. Wait. What this? Craft? Should I do shotgun ammo? And let's just. Oh no, I need 12. Okay, let's just do handgun ammo. I have one knife. Okay. Oh no, this knife is broken. Okay. Keep this. Okay. Let me save. This one. Yep. Hi Shen. Hello Fate. Hello. There you go. Accurate go to eyes. Yeah, I have go to eyes now. Thank you for the redeem. I always love how the guys appear randomly throughout the game. It's like you go to close your doors and windows and he's already there offering weapons. You're so right. That's pretty accurate. Help. Like, can I go here? Oh, this is just the outside where we came from? So welcome in, Nick! Welcome! How are you? How is your day? Thank you for the head pass. Your face. Already done it thrice. Alright, BRB. Alright, see you later. Alligator. Oh, what's this? So guys, I have some food here. I'm gonna snack while I play games. Wait, they throw his body? They killed him. Oh my god. Uh-oh. Is that a giant shark? Yeah. I'm good. How are you? I'm doing great. My day kind of like just started. Like I've only been awake for like 6 hours. Yep. Wait. Am I supposed to go over here? What about the elevator? Hold on. Let me go to the elevator. I want to see what the elevator is though. Okay. What if I go here? Isn't this gonna take me to the church? Or no? What's this?
Welcome, stranger. I believe this is your first time having a go in Target.
Will he be okay? I don't think he's okay. So you're playing Resident Evil Village at this season? Ooh, I do want to play Resident Evil Village. But like, when is it? Like, does it come before 5 or 6? I'm not sure. 'Cause I want to play it like in order. Or is it just like a different like game? Should I just play it next? Target practice rules. Destroy the pirates and shoot for the high score. Weapons and ammo are unlimited and it's all free. Oh! Earn tokens based on your score for a chance to win mandatory. Whoa! Okay, so this is like a mini game. Exchange your token for triumphs at a token machine. They're full of treasure that can be found nowhere else. You can destroy several targets at once by shooting nearby dynamite to set off an explosion. Be careful, shooting all sailors. Or shooting a sailor will deduct points from your score. Okay. So shoot targets, but not people. Okay. No target cannot Video stories one shot. Show as many shots as it takes until they break. If certain conditions are met, bonus target will be added. However, this condition will change from game to game. Hey yo, that pose. That's it. And yeah, but the token's there. Oh, I wanna try this.
Targets don't just stick around forever, eh? Don't let the
You're gonna see how good my aim is, you know, guys?
fish.
I'm going to live for a while. I'm gonna have to close my shop. Alright, Javier. Have a safe, rest of the day. Closing your shop. See you later, alligator. Thank you for the lurk. I'm kind of done with Resident 4 Remake. It was a great game, and also Village was good too. Really? Yeah, I heard Village is really good. It's kind of like a scarier Resident Evil, right? Kind of like BioShock. I want to play BioShock too. Maybe. We'll see. Shotgun. Let's stick with the pistol.
3, 2, 1, begin.
Okay. Fuck. I shot a sailor. Oh my god. Fuck. Oh god.
That's the stuff.
Reload, please.
That's it. That'll do it.
How well did I do? Hey, guys, look at that. Look at that. I'm so good. Oh my god.
I dare say we
Oh my god. Can I try again? Is it shotgun?
3, 2, 1.
Wait, this is a scope?
Double kill.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Superb shot. You're an artist, mate. Brilliant. Reload.
Okay. Show up, please. Oh my god! Leon, reload!
Superb shot.
Okay. Fuck. He went by so fast. Oh, I still did good. Okay. I have 4 tokens. What can I get with 4? You doesn't feel kind of exhausted playing Resident Evil during the morning? Me? Are you asking me if I feel exhausted? I mean, for me, it's like, it's late at night for me. It's almost 10 p.m. for me. And like, oh my god, guys! I got Ada Wong! Oh my god! Can I use it again? Oh, do I need another one? Oh, I need 3. Okay.
I await your return.
Okay. Yeah. I could play games all day, guys. I don't know. Perks of being like a game freak. A game addict. Wait, what if I go under here? No, I can't use this. But this. Gunpowder. 10 p.m. Wow, for me it's Sunday midday. Really? Are you like from Australia or something? I don't know. What's your time zone? 'Cause my time zone is PST, Pacific Standard Time. I live in America. It's kind of it's meh. Okay, I need a key for this. I can open that. Okay, go back up. Okay, time to progress. Okay, Leon, let's go, Leon. Okay, we saw that guy get thrown to the ocean. I'm from the future. Wow. Yup, from the future. Must be nice to time travel, you know? We're low on boat fuel. The boat fuel is stored with the generated fuel inside the processing building at the fish farm. Take only what you need. Okay. Only what I need. Is it dead end? Oh. How do I crouch? Oh. How do I crouch again? I don't remember. S space. What? Do I not remember my controls? Hold on. Options, controls. Oh my god, doesn't even show. Attack, reload, attach, move forward, backwards. Is this no crouch? Have I not been crouching? Am I... Oh, I'll figure it out later. Did you forget the controls? Yeah, I did. I don't remember how to crouch. It's fine. Fuck. Okay. So welcome, me, Toshi. Welcome. I'll figure it out later. It's fine. Okay. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Wow! Wow! Oh god. Shit. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna die. Get him! Fuck! Lady, get out of my way! Fuck. It's always the damn old lady. Go! Kick him! Oh my god. Okay, am I dead? Oh fuck. Why is he so strong? Oh my god. I don't have any more health! Wait. Jesus Christ. Damn, I missed your 48 minutes progress. It's okay, it's okay. This wasn't that much progress, I would say. Okay. I think the most I did was the mini game. And then I just bang yapping fall out of the time. Here. Fuck. Okay. Fuck. Ow! Whoa! No! Leon. Is that everyone? Hold on. Let me get to safety. Shit. Welcome in, Montreal. Welcome, welcome. How are you? How was your day? She always runs out ammo, so it's normal. Yeah, it's better to collect as much resources as you can because you will run out pretty soon. Yeah, I know. You're not the only person who tells me that. Oh my goodness. Okay, I might as well make this so I don't die. Okay. Alright. Nice, nice. Is there something in the water? How you go with the first boss battle? First boss battle? I don't even think I went to the first boss battle yet. What was the first boss battle? I don't think I got there yet. I think I am pretty soon though. Oh, I see you. Oh shit! Fuck. Bro has a crossbow. How did he get up there? In the water? Oh god. Pick up! Woo! Give me a break already! Is there another one? Kick! Oh my god.
Sorry, must have slipped.
Sorry, must have slipped. Anything here? Oh shit! Oh shit! I'm dead! Oh shit! Okay, I did not see that. Oh my god! It's okay. But at this point, it's better for her to use like comeback. To use comeback plus gun. I'm pretty sure you will, but good luck. Thank you, thank you. Oh my god. Just suggestion: purchase boom for boss fight. You took. Oh really? Okay. Got it, got it. Not to pressure you or something, but I finished village chapter already. Really? Oh my god. Lucky you, Itoshi, huh? Alright. You boosting your little ego there. I'm taking this race seriously. Yeah, in case, for context, guys, me and Itoshi, we're both playing RE4. And we're doing a race. You know, whoever finishes first wins. And then the losers has to do like a cringe copy pasta. Okay. Oh shit! Wrong button! Okay. It's okay. It works. Okay. Give me a break already. Kicker! Oh my god. Woo! Fuck, Leon. Okay. Oh shit! Woo! Oh my god. Grandma! Grandma! Oh my god! Grandma, oh my god! Oh shit! Get away! Fuck! Shit! Sorry guys, it is a very bad gameplay. Get away! Oh my god! Leo, go! Oh my god, hold on guys. Hold on, guys. Okay, just give me a moment. Damn right, Shen. If I remember, I actually bought a boss at the place you're fighting. Really? It was pretty hard to fight against Ionis Boom. Okay, okay. No breaks? No breaks. Thank you for the hydrate. You know, I do have a monster on me right now. Shen curses a lot when she's dying. I do. Okay. You know, maybe I just gotta like shut my mouth and focus, you know? Okay. I'm gonna munch on my fries first. Okay. I'm ready. I got my pistol out. Time to shut up. Okay. Well done.
God damn it.
No, we're gonna silently kill them. Okay. Don't turn around, don't turn around. Okay. I broke my knife. That's okay.
Damn it.
You saw me? Fuck! Okay. Big dog lady!
Not bad, right?
Not bad, not bad. Okay. Run, Leon, run. Ooh, nice kick. Okay. Run, Leon, run. Fuck. Woo! Okay. Ooh, beat up the old man. God, oh my god! Run, Leon, just run. Oh my god. Okay. I'm like half health right now. It's okay. Okay. They're chasing me. That's okay. Kick him! Kick him! Oh god. Kick him! Get over me! Oh my god. Okay. Reload, Leon. He's dead? Okay. Nice. See guys, I do so much better when I'm like, you know, not, not talking. Okay, climb up. Oh my god. My greatest enemy on this game is the puzzle. Yeah, I remember you struggling to do that one puzzle, Itoshi. It was so easy, you know, it was just a perspective. Is this it? What was up here? Nothing? Wait, this is the beginning. Oh, is that it? The original ones were easy. It's the remake one that made my brain fart. It's alright. It's alright. I'm really bad at puzzles too. If it's not logic, then I'm gonna struggle really, really bad. All I hear is Shen, blah blah blah. The puzzle on the church wall gave me aneurysm. That one was so easy though, in my opinion. Okay. Oh shoot, snake. Are you dead? I think I hear another snake. I'm not sure. Oh my god, you little B word! Get on my sight! Okay, no. Kick it! Kick it! What is that, fish?
Sorry, must have slipped.
What? Do I sell the fish? Do I need it for something? Give me that snake. Viper? Here. Oh fuck. 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 I'm gonna die.
Out of the way.
I don't have any healing. I better not die here. Oh fuck. Reload, reload, Leon, reload. Woo! Okay. Stop. I don't know what I'm yelling for. Now. Okay, the guy with the freaking fire arrows. Oh. Woo! I have a gun. You think you can shoot me? Okay. I know there's a little wire here. Okay. Anything here? What's the point? Okay. What about this side? Okay. Got this. Leon, don't die on me, please. Hello, Chaos. Hello. God. Wait, what's over here? Did I go over here already? Just crumble when the puzzles are near. Exactly, right? Exactly. How dare the game thinks I'm not bright enough to solve the puzzles? Listen, I love puzzles. I love puzzle games. They make my brain hurt, but like in a good way, you know? If you know, you know, you know? Okay. Can I jump over there? No, right? So you haven't ride a boat or something, Shen? No, I have not. I still need to like get the fuel, I think. I think that's what I need to do. Yeah. Okay. Damn, maybe I should have bought like a freaking, what do you call it? First aid kit. I'm sorry, bird. I had to kill you. I'm sorry. Are there any like herbs here, please? Red? Okay. Craft. Okay. 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 Can I go in here? Yep. I did not. Alright, before you ride the boat, shoot the water for a secret. The water? Shoot the water? For a secret? Oh, I got chicken egg. Like, are you for reals or are you are you messing with me, Chaos? I feel like you're messing with me. Okay, boat fuel.
This is what I'm talking about.
Eat the fish? Oh, I can eat the fish? Wait, no, I can't. I can eat the egg. Oh, is it because never mind, I'm full health. That's why. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I don't know how to play this game. Anything else? Blue medallion? No, no blue medallion. Okay, I went there. What's over here? Nothing? Okay, let me go up here. Go up. Let's do Shen as a guinea pig. Me as a guinea pig? I love guinea pigs. Haha. Like legit something special happens? Really? Are you sure? You're not kidding with me, right? Like actually, I don't know. Whenever Chaos tell me to do something, I feel like suspicious. Where are you? I missed. I missed. Don't point at me. Where's the other one? Oh! Fuck, she scared me. Oh my god. Are you dead? Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Can I go here? Break this. Where did it go? Alright. Don't worry, you can trust us. Okay. Okay. I'll trust you guys. Okay. It feels a little suspicious though. No, something will happen, I promise. Okay, okay. You you vouch for Chaos? Alright. Alright guys. Okay, I'm trusting you guys. There is 99% sure. It's an Easter egg. It's okay. Alright, I'm trusting you. Okay. Did I go in here? Handgun ammo. More ammo. Hey. Oh. Okay. Oh, do I need to find 2 more? I know. Okay, I know for sure there's like a giant shark in the water, right? Like a monster. Is that what you're trying to make me like shoot? Is that what it is? Damn. I don't need more space. Can I just guard this? Wait, what's this? Craft? Okay, let's put this here. Anything else I forgot? Nothing? Okay, before I get into the boat, shoot the water. That's a fish though. It turned black. Wow, oh my god! Guys! You freaking liars! You fucking liars! Oh my goodness! You guys are such liars! Oh my god! Oh my god! Wait, do I have my items? Come here. secret? Wow. Wow, wow. Wow. What a, wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, I got gunpowder. I mean, to be for reals, it was. Oh, yeah. Honestly, good Easter egg. So glad I kept it in the remake. Yeah, I should have seen it coming. Okay, to be fair, I did see it coming. Okay. Okay. I go here. And I just need to put the fuel in here, right? Oh shoot, wait, the medallion. Oh, the blue. Not the blue, the hexagon thingy. Here. Okay. Here. So why there's so many snakes in your bag? Because I see it. Because I killed them. Actually, I killed them because I wanted to sell them for money. You know, for money. Cause I'm poor. And also for like a quest too. Dude, where's the merchant guy? Here? Hello, sir.
Welcome.
I'm here.
Ooh, what you buying?
Okay, we're gonna sell this guy.
This is what I'm talking about. Fine.
Thank you. Now I have 15 pesos.
A well-tuned weapon can make up for
You know
it.
what's funny? Leon knows something is in the lake, but still proceeds to grab the boat. I know, right? Oh my god. You can sell 3 of them and complete a task? Yeah. That's what I was doing. You can eat them too, which is... Really? You can eat the vipers? But aren't, like, vipers, like, poisonous? Right? Who does he think he is? Who is Bear Grylls? Shannon, make me fall asleep. I'm so bored and I'm tired of watching a 3-hour Clash Royale vid for no reason. Why are you watching that? Just play like World of Tanks, Wolf. Yeah, it restores health if you examine it. Oh, you know Cantators? I thought you said Grilla.
Not seen
For a
anything
second, I
like
thought Legend of...
stranger.
What is Legend of Eventress? Okay, rate a fire. Should I buy? I want to buy. Let me buy this.
Stocking up while you can.
Flash grenade,
Wise choice.
bolts.
What you see is what I've got.
What you see is what. I might as well do this.
Information is a commodity these days.
Commodity. Okay.
I knew I could count on you.
Thank
Anything
you.
else I can help you with?
No.
Pleasant travels.
Thank you. Okay, I want to go down here. Open this drawer. This is key. What did I get? A brass pocket watch. Do I need that? Wait, can I sell it? Sniper rifle is really good. Really?
Stranger.
Should I buy it then?
Ooh, what you buying? I'll buy almost anything.
Hold on. Where's mine? This. It's still like a red one. Okay.
Suit yourself.
I could
well.
just sell all of that, right? Like the gems and stuff. I don't really need it, right?
Your valuables
Mhm.
won't do you much good in the grave.
Also, he drinks his own piss. What? What do you mean he drinks his own piss? Because you can't kill enemies from far away without alarming them? I do love sniping. That's how I survive most. That's a coward strat. That's a coward strat, Itoshi. There's some treasure you can combine with like gems. And then the value of the treasure goes up. Okay, okay. Just like what I did with the flagon. Flagon. Okay, might as well sell this then.
A deal well struck.
It's a smart strat, Shen.
Life needs care.
Alright, if you say so.
Difference between life and
If
death.
you say so. 1.5. Should I do this? I like my pistol. Or should I just buy a sniper? I don't have space though. Yeah, let me
That
just buy
cash
it.
in your pocket or your life. I'll hand this over when you've got the space.
Fuck, I don't have space. Really? Okay.
Gotta select combat anytime.
Storage? I do have a scope. I like my shotgun. Should I sell this then? Oh no, not sell it. Put it away. Store. No, but I like this though. Should I sell this? Oh no, wait. Should I? I don't even use it. Okay, let me just sell this. Should I sell this? Guys, I don't know. I'm indecisive. Okay. Wait, I can't store this? This grenade? Damn. You know, I got a knife. I have an egg. Submachine ammo. Rifle ammo. Huh. You should use Boga because you can reuse ammo? Really? Wait, I did not know that. I did not know that. Okay, we keep that. I don't want to sell my shotgun though. Yeah, let me put this away then. Take this with me. Okay. Rifle ammo. Okay, might as well do this. Fish. Okay. Put you here. Put you here. Put you here. Put fish here. Sorry guys, I have bad organization skills. Okay. No, don't discard. Put you here. Put you here. Is it gonna fit? It's long, right? It's a read your game shit. Okay, guys, I don't read. All right. You read documents, but you don't read the description of your weapons. No, I don't. At this point, I would just okay. I'm speed running. Okay. All right. Oh, hopefully I have room.
Welcome.
Okay. Bye. No space. I still had no space.
Where you gonna put this? Your pocket?
Yeah, in my pocket. Huh.
Wield it next time then.
Next time then. Damn. Okay. Damn. Okay. I don't have room. I don't have room. Okay. Shut. I don't want to discard this. You know what? I'm just gonna buy it next time. You know, I can survive. It's okay. It's okay. Fuck speedrunning. Do a slow walk. I'm doing the slow walk. Oh shoot! I went the wrong way. Okay. Go up, Leon. Back over here. To be for real, I walked along this game. Ooh. Better be cautious. Oh, you. All I, all I hear is a coward. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I'm winning and I don't even have the game. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Itoshi. Vroom vroom vroom. Of course. The ass is fat. Oh my gosh, John. Uh-oh. Oh, it's an alligator. Not a shark. Oh, you like alligator? I do love alligators. What the fuck? What am I supposed to do? Ready to harpoon and throw? Okay.